the Ukrainians have conducted a masterful defense of their country. They have the Russians on their heels, in all likelihood over the long run, and we don't know whether that's going to be months next summer or it's going to be another year or two down the road. The Ukrainians, in all likelihood, God willing, will prevail.
Now, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has unexpectedly pulled out of a scheduled briefing of Republican senators tonight, ahead of a crucial vote on a further package of military aid for his country's war with Russia. He was due to deliver a video address after senior members of his administration travelled to Washington to try to convince Republicans to drop their opposition to more military support for Ukraine. The top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell has said he's encouraging his party's lawmakers to oppose a bill that would approve military assistance to Ukraine and Israel unless he gets changes to US border policies. Well, Colonel Brendan Kearney is a military affairs analyst and former chief of staff for the US Marine Corps forces in Europe and joins us now. Good evening, Colonel Kearney.
Hello, Carol. Good to speak with you again.
Good to have you with us. What's going on there? Is there any explanation as to why President Zelensky pulled out of this important address to Republican senators tonight?
I've been checking up on it. There is no formal explanation that has come out. The Republicans in Washington, D.C. are seemingly have said that this has been done at Zelensky's request, which may very well be the case. He has been extraordinarily well advised in his dealings with the U.S. Congress. And it would not surprise me that since this entire situation is one linked to a disagreement not only between the Republicans themselves, but also obviously with the Senate and the House Democrats over linkage to other political concerns, that his advisors would have said, something, this is kind of this is the classic, you don't want to get into the mud with a pig. Let them work it out for a while, and then we'll talk to them. But you don't want to get dragged into it. So my supposition is that that's what's behind his sudden withdrawal.
And we have had senior members of Zelensky's team, though, there in Washington, trying to persuade those Republican senators to drop their opposition to this package of military support, which has been held up for weeks now.
It has. But you know something, Carol, it's not really so much an opposition to military support. I think there's a broad consensus within the Congress that the United States is going to continue to provide support to Ukraine. It's the means of doing it. The Republicans would like to what they want to do is they want to burn Biden, quite frankly, over these absolutely horrendous pictures that are coming out of the border with migrant issues that are down there. I mean, President Biden.
It seems very strange to people who are listening to this that these senators would somehow link aid to Ukraine to what's happening on the United States southern border. I mean, this sounds like they're simply playing politics, are they?
Oh, Carol, what? I can't believe you say something like that. No. And they are playing politics. This is politics not only involving the border issue, but also aid to Israel and aid to Taiwan. So there's a whole series of little tornadoes of issues that are going on within this overall aid package to Ukraine. And again, there is some time to play with here, although the holidays are coming up, which will impact on this type of thing. But quite honestly, these type of things tend to be a tempest in a teapot. I've been watching them for almost 50 years. And then there is a degree of resolution that will occur. It may not be everything Ukraine wants or needs right now, but I believe there will be some type of compromise that will be made down there within the Congress. But it'll all be done with putting mud on Joe Biden's face, because he's the guy that everybody pretty much acknowledges has failed on the overall security issue as it relates to our border with Mexico. But
when it comes to Ukraine, I mean, it does really need this military equipment, doesn't it? It needs these supplies, it needs the money, it needs the kit if it's going to hold back Russian forces.
It does. And don't get me wrong with any cavalier comments I may be making. They're not meant to be, but Ukraine needs these funds. They need these equipments, the resupply of munitions in particular. But it's going to be at a time of year where the overall combat situation tends to quiet down. They're in the midst of it with winter. And the other thing is, quite honestly, Carol, there's a small percentage of the Congress of the United States on both sides of the aisle that would like to see a situation develop that would require our European friends and partners to step up a little bit more with giving monies. That may be a selfish approach, but it's one that reality does lie out there in terms of members of Congress. But I don't see a situation that is going to see us place Ukraine in a situation where they start to lose. I don't see that. Too much has been invested for too long now to allow that to happen.
But there does seem to be some pressure from certainly some Republicans to say that Ukraine should be prepared to try to seek peace with Russia, and that may well have to involve Ukraine giving up some of the territory which is currently occupied by Russia.
There are those people that say that within the Beltway, as we describe it. The Congress, but I just don't see them as holding much traction. The Ukrainians have conducted a masterful defense of their country. They have the Russians on their heels, in all likelihood, over the long run, and we don't know whether that's going to be months next summer or it's going to be another year or two down the road. The Ukrainians, in all likelihood, God willing, will prevail. But there are those who, Carol, they want to take the easy way out. Let's go ahead and declare peace and let the Russians keep that eastern portion near Crimea. I just don't see it. I don't think there's any real legs of support to that here in the United States. The support is to Ukraine to the detriment of Russia.
Colonel Brendan Kearney, military affairs analyst, former chief of staff for the US Marine Corps forces in Europe. Really good to speak to you tonight. Thank you very much.